From the Democratic frontrunner now to a 2016 GOP hopeful making his mark. Today, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker signing a right-to-work bill. Now, that essentially means that workers cannot be forced to pay union dues, and it effectively ends collective bargaining. Walker now marking Wisconsin the 25th state to work. There you see the map. So will this polish Governor Walker's business record and help make him the Republican frontrunner for 2016? Here now to talk about it, Jackie Kucinich, senior politics editor of the Daily Beast. Vince Colanese is a executive editor of the Daily Caller. Good to see you both. Vince, let me start with you. We showed the map a moment ago. Right-to-work states are increasing in their number. I think New Mexico very shortly will put it over the top, 26. So is this a sign that the power of organized labor is diminishing?
I think it's clearly a sign that that's happened. I mean, first of all, you look at somebody like Scott Walker. Scott Walker has shown time and time again that he's been able to overcome the power of organized labor. And now you look at this right-to-work bill, and this is just another shot to organized labor. And it clearly does give some advantages to businesses who are looking to go into a negotiation with labor unions, because now what you're doing in these right-to-work states is you're saying, hey, employees who don't want to join the union should not be compelled to therefore pay union wages because they're not members. And to a lot of people that makes sense, and that's why a guy like Scott Walker is going to push that through, and he's hoping that that carries some measure of authority going into 2016 as a nice feather in his cap.
How is forced unionization, Jackie, an American value? Isn't that sort of anathema to a worker's free choice? After all, why should you be forced to pay money into a union, and that union may be spending it on political candidates with which you vigorously disagree?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that Scott Walker had supported this bill. And he actually did a really interesting thing here. He initially told the state legislature, hey, guys, let's not approach this right now because it might be a distraction. They pushed forward anyway, and then he signs it. So not only, because he didn't want the controversy in theory, but not only does he look like a hero now to people who are non-union, he really didn't get into the dirt and the mud going into this fight. And you have to imagine this is going to help him in places like Iowa, where he really shone this weekend. He showed his talents as a retail campaigner and also his ability just to talk with people, just to be that kind of plain average Joe guy, which Iowans really love.
Yeah, and doesn't it make economic sense in some ways, Vince, because the tendency is that right-to-work states actually attract new business because they earn greater profits. They don't, have to deal with union contracts that are sometimes onerous, and it in turn creates more jobs.
Well, yes, it's a welcoming business environment for a company who feels like, hey, look, I don't have to have all of my employees having their wages in part garnished whether or not they're part of a union. So now employees can opt out. And I would say, to go back to the previous point, don't underestimate the extent to which this is a hurt for Democrats, because look, unions by and large are democratic machines, and you've got these unions who will go door to door. They'll have all of their union members go door to door knocking, trying to get votes for Democrats, and when they have less of this money coming in, that's a boon to Republicans. So Scott Walker sees this as a win across the board, not only to help his party but to put businesses in his state in a better negotiating position.
Jackie, some union leaders have said what Republicans are really trying to do here is kill organized labor. So I started poking around, and that's not necessarily been the result. For example, in Indiana, if you look at the numbers there, union membership has actually increased since they passed right to work in that particular state. And I'm wondering whether, in the long run, all of this might actually energize unions.
That was actually the point I was going to make. If you have Democrats saying that, and union leaders saying this is killing unions, you also might see a surge of activism among union members to try to elect Democrats. So, it really politically, it's going to be very interesting going into 2016, which is very different, as we know, different electorate than 2014, to see how energized both sides are, Chamber of Commerce, union, to really work, particularly if Scott Walker is at the top of the ticket. It will really energize both sides of the political sphere.
All right. Interesting discussion. Jackie Kucinich and Vince Colanese. Good to see you both. Thanks so much.
Thank you.